Hi, we're here at SHOT Show 2017 with Sean Wiseman, the director of the Precision Rifle Series. Sean, thanks for taking time to be with us and
Welcome.
our audience here.
Yeah, and thanks for doing it, guys. Appreciate it a bunch.
Now, for the folks that are not familiar with Precision Rifle Series, can you give us a brief history and what it is that you guys do?
Yep, so the Precision Rifle Series is a nationwide shooting series for long-range precision rifles. It started in 2012, and most of the matches were concentrated in the Texas-Oklahoma area because that was the concentration of shooters at that time. And since then, it's grown about 100% from year to year. So the year prior to me taking over as the director, we had about 400 members. Last year we were close to 800. We're hoping that growth continues. We went from 17 matches in 2015 to 35 matches in 2016. So we have definitely appreciated all the growth and the support from the shooters and sponsors.
And then in terms of the points aggregation, you can explain that of what that's all about.
Yep, so we have a 3-match minimum if you're going to compete for the finale. So you take your best 3 scores and you can shoot as many matches as you would like. And those top 3 scores are what gets aggregated and is your score for the season. And so we have that in all 3 of our divisions. We have an open division, a tactical division, which is 308 or 223, and then a production division. So those points are counted in each division. So
Yeah, and a lot of folks, have been asking us, about those divisions as well as, some of the new stuff that you're doing this year. So without getting into excruciating detail, as folks are like building their rigs now and want to at least know what the edges of the envelope are, can you share that for the various divisions?
Absolutely. So the reason behind the tactical division to begin with was to give military and law enforcement snipers the opportunity to compete in the Precision Rifle Series, but do so on a level playing field with their peers from across the military and law enforcement agencies. I spent 23 years in the Army and was a sniper for about 15 of those years. And a lot of guys didn't really want to come out and compete because the only rifle they had was their service rifle, which was typically a 308. And so it's just not really, it's a major handicap to shoot a 308 against 6.5 Creeds and 6 Creedmoors and all the other various calibers that guys shoot these days. And so we wanted to do the tactical division to give those guys a chance to compete because in reality it makes them such better operators, snipers, designated marksmen, whatever. So we set the parameters, just it's 308 or 223. It couldn't be an accurately improved round or anything like that for the 223. But we didn't put a bullet weight restriction or muzzle velocity restriction on it. So what we had was it became more of a gear race again. So for 2017, we are limiting the bullet weight for the 308s to 178 grain bullets and a muzzle velocity of 2,800 feet per second. And then for the 223s, it is a 77 grain bullet at 3,000 feet per second. And so that will allow the guys that shoot that's typically the type of ammo, you got the 155s, the 175s, the 178s, and then you got a lot of the 55, the 60, and the 75, and the 77 grain 223s. So you see those across the board, especially in the law enforcement community. So it just levels the playing field, and it becomes more about the shooter and his ability, his ability to put together a really badass load. So
yeah, and just so people hear you clearly, I know 308 shooters probably heard 155 grade. I'm going to pop them out at 3,000 feet per second, but
we have the muzzle velocity restriction of
2,800, right?
Yeah.
So you can still shoot them, but
right. Correct.
Gotcha.
That is correct.
Now, there are also some additional changes with how PRS membership is run. Is that correct? We'd heard that you can just simply sign up and your points are recorded by PRS. Is that correct?
Yeah, so once you register for an account, pay for your membership. Those points get counted automatically. So we have a scoring engine built into the back end of our website. So anytime we have a match, the match director sends in the scores, and they automatically get uploaded into our system and get aggregated accordingly. So,
and the match season here starts in April?
February.
Oh, February, okay.
So our first match for 2017 is the Bushnell Brawl, February 10th and 11th in Kingsville, Texas, at Rifles Only.
Now, the 2016 finale is coming up. Tell us a little bit about how that match location is selected, because I know it changes from year to year.
Yep, and so we've had it so far in Florida, Texas, and
Southern California, right?
Yep, Southern California. Last year was Tehachapi. Mike Voigt ran that match for us last year. This year we wanted to do something kind of special. We wanted to go somewhere where nobody had ever shot before, and so a real good friend of mine by the name of Tim Fallon owns the FTW Ranch in Barksdale, Texas. It's a pretty popular spot for media folks, for folks in the industry to go out and test and do some media events. It's a world-class 12,000 acre facility. There's more steel in that place than you could shoot in a week. It's my favorite place in the world to shoot. And so it's the perfect venue to be able to get 130 or 140 shooters in, run an awesome 2-day match, especially this time of year where daylight's short, have the flow that we need to get that done, and be one of the, hopefully the best events that they've ever shot. So.
Yeah, and also, for this year, you've got, we've got a lot of, club series matches, particularly in the Pacific Northwest.
Correct.
And so, kind of explain, for folks who maybe right now are just thinking club series.
Yep.
What sort of how that can kind of function maybe as a gateway to.
Right. So we decided this year to launch the PRS Club Series. Okay, so the problem with our organization is we were very top heavy. So we had a really robust top-level major league organization with not a very well-structured kind of feeder organization. And so that was a major problem for us, because we can't just keep piling on matches to get guys access to and get into the PRS. And so we sat down and we said, let's do a club series where we take all the clubs that are already shooting matches and are in existence. You guys have the Northwest Precision Rifle League, and that's made up of, you had Washington and Idaho and Oregon and all the state clubs. And then same thing in the Southeast. Shannon Cade put together a awesome regional series called the Southeastern Precision Rifle Series, and that included, Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Tennessee, Georgia, and he had a super awesome regional series there. So what we did was we just taught everything that was already going on. If they already had a region that was represented, like Northwest or Southeast, then we kept that intact. And for the rest of them, we just kind of built it to, according to what made sense after talking to the regional or the club directors and all that. And so the thing that we wanted to do was keep the clubs running as they're running now. We didn't want to come in and say, hey, this is our rule book. You have to operate under this rule, these rules. You have to do this, you have to do that, you can't do this. We wanted them to have all of the exact same rules that they're using right now to just maintain doing business that way. And so we were able to get just about all the major clubs across the country that are already in existence on board. And then in addition, we had like probably 3 or 4 more spring up during that process. So
now, having said that, previously for PRS sanctioned matches, they would run PRS skill stage. Will that still be in place moving forward? Or?
No, not well for the major matches. Yes.
Okay.
So this year we started the PRS skill stages, and those were for a couple different reasons. Number one, they serve as a tiebreaker. So we had 2 at every match. If say Steve and Ed you guys are tied, we look at your score, the combined score, your skill stages, And if you're still tied, then we look at the combined time, and whoever has the lowest time gets the spot, the higher
I'm
spot.
slower, so Steve wins.
So Steve wins. Good job, Steve. So the couple other reasons why we wanted to do that was number two is it allows guys to train on something, gives them a training focus, right?
Right, right.
So we got a barricade stage, we got a skill stage, we got a reticle, a holdover only stage, and we got a stage where you gotta run a little bit and think a little bit, and so it kind of runs the gambit of the core skills that you need to be successful in the PRS, right?
Right.
And so it gives guys a focus, and then it also allows guys to kind of see where they stand too, kind of like USPSA classifier stages, where you can shoot a stage in Southern California, and you can see how the guys in the upper Northeast are shooting as well. So
because one of the skill stages involves a barricade. I
Right.
mean, we've seen here at SHOT Show how literally cottage industries have popped up around accoutrements to help you shoot that stage better. And now there are rumors going around that you won't be able to use it, and so
I love rumors. Those are my favorite things.
Are you at liberty to discuss that?
So we have discussed, because man, it's always a double-edged sword. Like, you don't want to limit innovation too much, because that's kind of one of the reasons why we're here, is we want to see the sport evolve and through innovation advance, right?
Right.
And so if we put too many restrictions on people, we're going to really limit that and restrict that. On the other hand, you don't want to do something that's just totally wazoo, because this is truly a practical sport, and we want to maintain the practicality of the sport, right?
Yep. Right. So eventually somebody's going to drive up to that barricade with a rail gun mounted on a golf cart.
Exactly.
And say, hey, rules.
Hey, there's no rules. Say we can't. So obviously we can't.
Right. Exactly.
So how you kind of go from that to saying you can't use anything. You got to use your gun and your trigger finger.
Right.
So we're looking at that. I think we will definitely, within the next 2 weeks, have a complete and firm ruling as to how we're going to do that for the skill stages. But it won't be anything just totally crazy.
Right. Okay. Right. Now, for the folks that may not have been up to your website recently, I know you have upgraded it. Can you tell us a little bit about what folks might expect if they go to the website?
So before, our old website had trouble loading. It was very slow, archaic. It was kind of just limping along. We spent a lot of time and resources on building a new website for this past year, and it kind of fell through. Then luckily we found the exact right guy that we needed to build it, and he was able to get it done in a month. Go figure, right? So that new website has all the information on our vision, our mission, the roots of the Precision Rifle Series, kind of our perspective, and then all the information that you need for the bolt gun series, for the gas gun series, for the club series. All that's in there, as long as also the schedules, and then the membership. The registration process should be much easier than last year, and we also take credit cards now instead of the PayPal thing and or writing a check. So across the board, our goal is to kind of streamline and automate the website to where it's a whole lot easier to deal with, both on your guys' end and on our end.
So the shooting sports, is about people. We all have our day jobs. You've got your day jobs, and you got to balance priorities. They're challenges, and so in doing all this, it's just incredible work. What are some of the? You alluded to the website, and obviously a challenge. But what are just some of the big challenges you faced, and how did you overcome them?
Yeah. So anytime you experience exponential growth, 100%, that's huge. In any organization, there's challenges that come with that. Logistical challenges, membership, everything is a lot more difficult. So, one of the biggest challenges was our limiting factor in the Precision Rifle Series was matches, right? So, we had, like I said, 17 matches on the schedule in 2015, okay? We had about a membership of about 400, but there were probably 1,500, 1,600 people competing in the series. So right there, that tells you that, I mean, you're at max capacity if you go of an average of 100 dudes per 1,700 guys. So guys were complaining all the time, we can't get into matches, you know.
I remember those days.
Yeah, exactly.
I know.
Exactly.
Yeah, they would sell out literally in an hour.
Exactly.
Right.
And so guys would pay $150 to become a member of the Precision Rifle Series in order to get their scores counted and see how they stack up against all the other best shooters in the world, right? And so, but they weren't even able to get in a match.
Yeah.
So, like, okay, how do we fix that? Okay, so number one, obviously, let's find some other venues, find some you know, great places to shoot, you know, what everybody's accustomed to with the quality of a PRS match, and get some more matches on the schedule. Additionally, we said, okay, if you're going to pay to be a member of the Precision Rifle Series, then you should get priority over everybody else shooting the match. Not, you know, it's not an exclusivity thing or anything like that. It's just you're making the effort to go and compete, then you should get priority over the people who aren't. And nothing against them. It's just
you're invested. You're
Exactly.
invested, right? Yeah.
And so, and it's our job to take care of our customers. Our customers are shooters.
Exactly.
So we started a 48-hour early registration process. So if you're a member, you get a 48-hour early registration period. So we send out a registration alert, gives the link and to the match registration, and then you get a 2 days head start on everybody else. So it made it a lot easier for guys to get into matches. I didn't hear near the complaints last year's in years past.
That was nice. Yep.
So that was, I would say, our biggest hurdle was how you manage that growth and get, and so.
Now we're seeing more matches,
Yep.
obviously a lot more, certainly in our corner of the country. We're seeing more shooters show up at our monthly club match.
Yep.
What are the things that are you seeing at your level in terms of trends? Where do you see the sport going over the next couple of years?
I would expect that this growth is going to continue. Probably not at the rate that it's been the last few years, but we're definitely going to continue to experience growth. Now, that will be skewed a little bit by our gas gun series. So in 2017, we're launching a gas gun only series. So in 2016, we had 2 gas gun specific matches and went over with great fanfare. Guys loved them. Love shooting them, a lot of fun. But the rule set for those matches really didn't match what we needed for a gas gun series. So we came up with a whole new set of rules, a new scoring system, and everything else. So we have 12 matches on the schedule for 2017. We have gotten a huge amount of interest across the shooting sports. So not only the Precision Rifle Series, but a lot of the 3-gun guys, a lot of people who just own ARs that, you know, they really don't want to do the 3-gun thing because it might be too dynamic. And, you know, they don't want to go buy a shotgun and learn how to load that stupid thing. So they're, you know, really interested in here's possibly a shooting sport for them. And so that will definitely bump our growth up quite a bit, but you really can't look at that the same as the growth from the bolt gun series. So and a couple other points on the gas gun series. So we set it up for, also we have 3 divisions. We have a tactical heavy division for 308, a tactical light division for 223, and those same bullet and muzzle velocity restrictions apply. And then we have an open division, which that's your, you know, 6 mil, you know, 22 nozzler up to 30 caliber. If you want to run a 300 Win Mag gas gun, you're free to do so. But you can't run a 330.
There's one available.
There is, and so you're free to shoot that thing, but you can't shoot any more than 30 cal, and you can't run it faster than 3,200 feet per second. So that's the restrictions on the open division, and so it only takes 2 matches in order to qualify for the finale, and you can shoot multiple divisions. So if you want to shoot, you know, 223, you know, tactical light, and you see that, man, all the good guys are just kicking my butt, I think I might go to that tactical heavy division, so you can, you know, go over and shoot tactical heavy.
And so conceivably somebody could do, like, 2 of the heavy qualify for
Yep.
the finale, 2 of the light qualify
Yep.
for the finale, and then do 3 of the bolt action
Yep.
open, right? So they've
Yep.
got a number of different.
Yep. So obviously the tactical or the bolt gun finale will be ran separately from the gas gun finale. Now, unfortunately, because we're in our infancy, we're not going to do a separate divisions at the gas gun finale, or not separate. So separate finales per division.
Okay.
So for this year, for the tactical division, we're going to do a separate finale for that, and that's going to be the Sniper's Hide Cup that was kind of released yesterday. So Frank Galley's running the Sniper's Hide Cup back at Rifles Only, which is kind of big news, and we're super proud about that.
Oh, yeah.
But that will also be our tactical division finale. So
Now you're enticing me to think about going into the
I've got one in the
gas
back,
gun series.
back of the vault. So just briefly, going back to the club series, there's also certain, club matches where the points,
Yep.
Can you just elaborate on that a little bit?
So we have it broken down currently in 7. I think it might grow to 8 regions. And the shooters will shoot, they can shoot in any region they want. And those scores will count. And then the match directors will send those to us. We'll aggregate those, and whoever the top guys are in each region will get a shot to shot to shoot in their regional finale.
Okay.
So, each one of those regions will have its own regional finale, and then the top guys out of those will get a slot to the finale. So I think it's the top 3 guys per region will get a shot at to go to our finale.
So you could conceivably just shoot the club matches.
You could.
And end up being qualified
Yeah,
for
you could.
the PRS finale.
Yeah, now it's a little bit tougher route, I think.
Right.
But the only stipulation on that though is that our pro series or our pro classified shooters are not able to use that avenue to get into the finale.
Oh, I see.
Oh.
Because it just wouldn't be fair for our top pros.
And pro classification is 80% or higher? Or?
No, so that's something else that's new for 2017. So we're going to take the top 50 guys after the finale this year, and those are pros.
Got it.
From 51 to 250, those are our semi-pros, and that's not counting the finale score because not all of those guys shot the finale, so it wouldn't be fair to include their finale score. And then and 251 and below would be classified as an amateur.
Got it.
So, and that's only for the bolt gun series, not for we don't. After this year, we'll have a classification system for the gas gun series.
Very
Bottom line,
interesting.
details are on the website.
Yeah.
Yes.
The website
Yes.
is, for the folks who don't know?
Yes, the website is precisionrifleseries.com.
Okay.
Yeah, and if I could just ask, one final question, around gear, in some of the PRS matches, we've seen pistol now and then.
Yep.
Any trends around that? I mean, will we see more pistol, or is that something that we might see going away, or?
So it's dependent upon the match director.
Okay.
For the bolt gun series.
Okay.
And for the gas gun series, but for the bolt gun series, the magic of the PRS is our match directors. We put as little limitations on them as humanly possible. So there's no restrictions on pistol or much else. And so they're free to run their match how they see fit, and that's what makes it really unique. The last thing we would want is a bunch of cookie cutter matches that are the exact same venue to venue to venue. So having Ed being able to run his match the way he wants to run it, and Steve, you running your match totally different.
That's important, yeah. And we talked to a couple of match directors, and they felt that having that independence was, nice in terms of the way the PRS was going to be going in 2017.
Yep. So, in fact, I think really the only restrictions that we put on, the only thing that we asked them to do is, number one, send us their scores, because that's kind of important, and number 2, run a skill stage.
Yep.
And other than that, that's really about it. So it's up to them as to whether or not they want to shoot pistol. In the gas gun series, I think it's going to be a little more pistol intense. I think we do have a round count limitation on pistol. It can't be any more than 25% of the total match round count.
Got it.
So that's to prevent the pistoleros from coming in and just dominating.
Very
It's still a rifle competition.
Yeah.
At the end of the
Well,
day.
Sean, Ed and I want to give you our thanks for taking the time to visit us during 2017 SHOT Show.
Yep.
So we really appreciate your time.
And I appreciate you guys giving me the opportunity to come in and talk about this stuff.
Absolutely. Well, folks, definitely check out the website. And until next time, remember, life's an adventure.
Stay on target.